Hi, Kevin.
Hi,
How's it going
Rachel.
today?
Awesome. I'm having a great day. Had a great
Ec-
weekend.
Excellent. Good. With your chief distraction officer.
The distraction officer. He was
I
hired
love
for 9 months. Went through a 9-month interview process. Um,
that. That's
Started
fantastic.
right away.
Now, what is so everybody that is watching or will watch later, who is your chief distraction officer? What is his name, and how did you come to that?
His name is Ollie, Oliver. Oliver Ty. He's my first son, first child.
Yes.
And we had him right before the pandemic. It was really interesting. Like in January, we're like, all right, we're having a baby. And then in March, I was like, yeah, I'm laid off from my job.
Oh.
Um, but it's been great because with Oliver, he is my motivation for working really hard and getting through the business and making sure that I can bring in income and all that. But also, he's just been a great marketing tool.
Yeah, right. He is. I mean, that's a fun fact that
Yeah.
I think I had commented on when you said that he was your chief distraction officer. So the fun fact is that. And then how did you come up with that? It was just like, I was gonna call him that.
He knows when I'm working. It's one of those weird things where like,
Oh.
so when I'm not working, let's say he's nursing, for example, or he's just like hanging out with mom, I'm just like watching a YouTube video, nothing, right? He's just playing. Once I get on the computer and I have to concentrate on making, writing my email list or something like that, he just starts crying, or he starts being really cute and making noises.
And then you can't help but get into what's going on in there.
Like, I want to play with him now, and my wife's like, "No, you're working." But I want to.
Oh, look, now I'm gonna be a distraction officer. We were wondering whether or not we could do this, right? So look, we can actually do this all day long. That's funny.
It keeps people's interest.
I know that won't be annoying later, I'm sure. Kevin, tell me why. I know you shared it with me already, but I want people to know this.
Yeah.
Your background is fantastic. I love that. So share why you chose that and how that unfolded for you.
Yeah. So throughout the pandemic, I was trying to figure out like different virtual backgrounds and like how to have like my name and logo and email address and phone numbers and stuff that a lot of people are doing. And then I looked at a lot of photographers, and a lot of them have the really cool studio backgrounds. And
right.
I don't have an amazing studio. I didn't have an amazing studio back then. I just had an office space like this. And so I was trying to figure out how can I share my brand and who I am to everybody else and still be unique to the other photographers. And so I was like, one of the things that I love to do is share stories. So I spend a lot of hours, 15 minutes to a couple of hours with each client. Yeah. And there's something to talk about. So each one of these pictures are chosen because of different races, different genders, different backgrounds, different occupations.
And smiles, you said earlier, and smiles.
Yeah, some people have really big smiles, and some people really big smiles, and some people have a very subtle smile.
Yeah.
And because some people have really big, so this person right over here.
Yeah.
So she needs to show off her grill as a dentist.
Yeah. Nice.
And so when I have a client meeting or a networking meeting or just a regular phone call, I get to tell the stories of my different past clients. So they'll say, have you ever shot somebody who is just a student? And I have a couple of students. Well, he's a student from Korea that came over and we shot him for CV, vice presidents, politicians, and then the story of how we got them to that image. Some people come in for one image, some people come in for 6 or 7 or 18. And it all depends on what they like. Should I wear a tie, no tie? Should I have jacket, no jacket? Color, no color? One of my favorite pictures is right over here. She's an entrepreneur, and she brought beautiful gold a scarf.
Yeah, I see that.
And so we spent like 10 minutes just folding the scarf to making sure that it's clean, and so it works really well for her. And we lit it so we can see all the fabric, textures and everything too. So when people are like, oh, but I'm afraid of color. No, just bring it.
Oh, yeah, nice.
It's fun.
Oh, so check this out. So Elmo said, "I want a nice shot like this. That's fantastic. Yes, for
Absolutely.
sure." Well, so since we're here, Kevin, tell Elmo how he can reach you. What makes you amazing at what you do, and why you're doing what you're doing. That way he knows.
Yeah, so my website is 3circles, plural studio, singular, .com, and then you can do /chat, and we can set up a time to talk on Zoom, or I just did it so that you can come to my office. So my address is here.
Nice.
So we can have a 30-minute hangout in the studio. Another is Kevin at 3circlesstudio.com, as well as my email address.
I love that.
Yeah.
And you do have, I think you have in your headline, killer headshots, right? I think that's what you have. Yeah.
That's very awesome. Polarizing. Some people love it, and I had a lot of people who hate it. They're like, "Oh no, you should not put that. It's not professional." But I was like, but because of
why did people say that they didn't like it?
It's a little bit unprofessional, they say.
Okay.
It's LinkedIn.
Oh, did it say killer or kick ass? I can't remember. Kick ass. Okay. All right. That's even better than killer. I got something provocative in there.
But it's so much fun, and I think that's what it is. So the experience is one of those things where I also want to be different as well. And I wanted to extend out from everybody else for the client. So I had a therapist come in once a long time ago, and it was a 15-minute session. I think at that time it was like $50 for 15 minutes. But what happened was she was just so nervous, and we couldn't get her to look very
relaxed
and caring. I think with caring the outfit. So we sat down. This was at my house 3 years ago. So we sat down. I made some tea. We just talked for about 45 minutes about why she did what she did, her successes, her clients, her struggles, what she wanted to, what she wanted from her clients to be able to become successful in their own right. And so after that, after about 40 minutes of drinking tea and just chatting and just getting her to talk,
she relaxed.
She relaxed, and then first shot.
Yeah, nice.
And so I think a lot of photography studios, they 15 minutes, 2 outfit changes. But for me, it's however long it takes, even if you're here just for one picture.
Wow, Kevin.
Some people are for the full 3 hours. Most people take about an hour and a half. I had one residency student. She was kind of nervous, because she wanted to be a doctor. And so when she came in, she's like, "I have all these outfits. I don't know what to do." And then her hair is like different places. I was like, "Don't worry about it." I knew she was only coming in for one picture.
Okay.
We spent about 2.5 hours for one picture. So I didn't make a lot of money, but that's not the point.
But that's memorable. She'll remember you.
She'll remember, but she has a headshot that will get her to become a doctor. And it's most about her, my client's success.
I love that, Kevin.
Some people knock it out of the park the first time. Like first picture, they got it. It's like, I don't need to do much.
Yeah.
And then some people
Foy asked, "Are you located in Florida?" Sorry, I may have missed that. She said.
I am not in Florida.
I think you're in Boston, aren't you?
I'm in Boston.
Yeah.
And actually, this is great too. So reach out to me if you want a recommendation for some of the best headshot photographers in the world. Mexico, Spain, Portugal, United States, Canada, wherever it is, let me know and I can connect you with somebody as well. I'm part of the same group of photographers who have the same foundation for headshot photography, for lighting and stuff. So even if you have a company, let's say, that's in multiple places across the United States, I did one for a person, 2 people in Pennsylvania, and I did the other half of the team in Massachusetts.
Nice.
And then the other photographer will match my style because we have a similar style.
I love that.
So if you have a big company or even a small company, but all over the United States, especially now with people working from home, let's connect. Definitely.
What do our headshots say about us, right? So I mean, that's why should we care? Why is this important? And I look at mine, and I have different headshots, but what do you want people to know about what our headshots say about us?
If you're happy with your headshot, I say definitely keep it, because you need to be comfortable with it first. I think first and foremost. So don't change it just because someone tells you to change it. However, our headshot is so important because it's the thing that we see over and over and over again. So we all know that 500 milliseconds, first impressions, they establish our trust and credibility. The other thing is that the more we look at a person, the more we trust them. So that's another component to it as well. And if you have a great headshot, we kind of linger just a little bit longer. And then when we linger just a bit longer, we are more willing to trust the person. It's just some weird psychology that's like that. So with a headshot, there's a certain thing that some people do where we want to look very stern,
like stoic or something,
and that translates to confidence, which it kind of does. But I think it was Vanessa Van Edwards, like the facial expression expert. She has a TED Talk, and one thing that she wrote in her book is we look at people longer if they're more submissive in posture to the person that we're reaching out to. So the stoic executive look with everything straight, it might look confident, but people don't want to look at you as much. But then we do a simple thing like turn the shoulder a little bit and maybe tilt the head.
Okay.
Then we want to look at that person more, and therefore we trust them more, and we want to do business with them, and more likely because of all these other psychological factors that's a part of it.
Because it's more inviting, because there's a vulnerability tied to that. Is that where that goes?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. And you can see like over the shoulder, you can see there's some of that going on in some of those headshots too.
Yeah. So with her, you can see she's tilted just a little bit to the side. Saving over here, he has a slight head tilt.
Yep, I noticed that too. That was the one I'm thinking about. That was what I was thinking when you were talking about it.
Just a little bit. There's a much more dramatic head tilt over here. So each of these people have that little bit of something, depending on the expression that they're going for.
Yeah.
In Korea, when they do their CVs, everything has to be passport picture-like. And so I want to elevate it just a little bit to make it more welcoming just overall. Yeah.
I love that. And I'm sorry, I cut you off. I don't know if you remember what you were going to say.
Oh.
Probably not, right? Like, I don't know.
This question.
Your C-shirt says read, just read or read anything, whatever.
Reading is one of the best things. So I just finished, I don't know, like 9 books in the summer.
Holy cow, that's a lot of books, Kevin.
Once I get through 1 book a week is one of my goals. But reading is one of those wonderful things where you get to psychologically understand people and characters and know what they're really feeling. And I think it really builds empathy to the world, because we're reading about people that we never see or we don't really like initially, and then we start to learn about them a bit more, and then we learn how to talk to them. A Man Called Uwe starts off like that.
Okay.
It's a book of, I think it's Poland, I believe it is. I forgot. It was last year I read it. But the first chapter is just basically you hate him so much because he's an old man that doesn't know technology, and he's just being. And then you start to learn about his life. I learned about his life in the Great Depression, about his wife who died, about the community that he's being a part of, his hardship in life, and you start to. And so I felt really bad. I was like,
and you started to relate to him based on his story.
I was hate reading for the first chapter, which was the intention, and then we really start to like understand them. So when I'm meeting people and talking to them, I get to ask all these questions, and even if I don't agree with them politically or socially or whatever it is, I still find ways to understand them and connect on a different level. And I think that's what brings out the natural expression for each person.
How do you decide? Sorry, I'll let you finish, and then I'll ask a question.
Because they feel listened to, and therefore they can let go and be genuine. And I think that's what I capture.
And I wanted to tug on that one, because how do you decide how to capture their story in that headshot?
What I love to do is understand why they chose a job that they did.
Okay.
Everybody chose something because they either wanted to or because they have to.
All right.
And then looking at their audience, who's going to be looking at the picture, whether it's for dating, which I've done before, or if it's they're looking at a certain target audience, or if they have some kind of need for a new audience. And so I try to understand that. I try out different kinds of jokes to see what kind of smile they have. That's a genuine smile.
Fantastic.
Because the camera spots like this, and I try to break it down so I can see the crow's feet. And it's like, okay, I got it. This is
Yeah, that's funny. That's
um,
fantastic.
some people love talking about their children. Some people love talking about their fur babies. Some people love talking about axe throwing. They get excited about that. One person loves to talk about dirty jokes.
Okay, and you're like, all right,
Yeah.
I'm gonna get this.
Like, I'm gonna get in trouble normally, but let's do this because
Let's just go with it.
It gets you going. Some people I have to hold their hand and really walk them through the whole process, and some people I have to say bad words to get them to
get out of their head.
Because some people come in as the boss and they've never been, and they're always in control. And so I have to so for a few people, I have to take over that control so that they will then listen to me. And once I get them to be in a collaborative mode at that point, then we can start to move into something that is more genuine in their expression. So
you're cracking the shell in a lot of ways, which goes back to reading. You're trying. I mean, there's a good sizable component of psychology involved in this then.
Yeah, I think it's like photography is like a 90% psychology and 10% taking a picture, because the technical stuff anybody can learn, I think.
Sure.
I can tell you, like, it's this setting, this this speed, the light ratio is like this put together. Then and then it's just, for me, it's just pretty much the same thing over and over again. It's what's their best side, how to get them to, it's all in the eyes to get them to smile. That's what one person came in and was like, I don't want dramatic pictures. I just want something that's bright and, very entrepreneur-like. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So we did that. And they were like, well, let's try this just one time. Let me see what you think. And I'm like, oh, I love it. Because I saw
the emotion
really well in that picture in that way. So I want to capture that emotion. Yeah, that emotion from the lighting. And she's like, I love it. I was like, okay, let's do it. But I never force it on them. Everybody starts out the same, but everybody also, it gets personalized to what their expectations are. But sometimes they don't know their expectations, but that's why I'm here.
No, well, that's what I was thinking, because you just said that one gal she came in with a specific thing or expectation in mind, that she wanted it this way and bright, and then it sounded like that was a complete 180 based on you saying, well, let's give this a try. Let's have some fun with it and see what happens. And she wound up loving that one better.
Yeah. So we always try to nail the traditional one or nail the one that they expect. And then we experiment and we play. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes they bring in 10 outfits, but they only purchase, say, like 2 outfits because it just works with what their personality is in terms of where they want to take the picture to whichever audience.
So, and I think that you alluded to this, but the different photographers do different things, but you're about understanding the story, who they're trying to attract, or what their job is or their role is, and then let that image tell that story in a specific way while capturing the emotion.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's pretty wild to be able to do that.
I think, and then for anybody, my suggestion for anybody is, even with me, if you want to work with me or work with somebody else, have a phone call with them, because you want to be able to connect with the person and make sure that they are, whether it's a family photographer, which I don't do, but there's many wonderful people who work like magic with children, wedding photographers, even branding photographers or other headshot photographers. I call them and see if you like them, because you're going to spend anywhere from 30 minutes to a couple of hours with them. If you feel uncomfortable even slightly, it's, don't work with them. There's many other people out there, and choose them. Because
that's going to come through in the photo, right?
Absolutely.
That's your point. Okay. So that's a really good tip. I wanted to tug on, in one of your posts, you talked about there's ageism that's out there, right? And so there's some people that want to look younger because they want to combat the ageism. And then there's the reverse of that. I think you were talking about how someone that is younger wanted to look older. How does that work? How do you do that and have that show up in a photograph, in a headshot?
So that's all. The main thing is how much shadow you want to give the person.
Mm.
So normally, I think people who are older feel they're really old because of the wrinkles. But
Okay.
wrinkles is really just all shadow. So when we look at ourselves in the mirror, usually we have the light on top and it shines down, which then creates a lot of wrinkles in the eyes, a lot of wrinkles here, a lot of wrinkles in the neck, and we see those wrinkles a lot. But
Right.
what I so what I would do is when I create the light, I want to make sure that it's a lot more fill from the bottom
Okay.
and it fills in those shadows, so it doesn't look like it's as deep and as sharp, and that eliminates a lot of it. So the equivalency would be something like if we're looking outside, if we're outside and it's cloudy, there's like even light all the way around, and it's this beautiful lighting that's like that. Most photographers, I would say, I won't say most photographers, but photographers who just some photographers, I would say, when
So
they
there you
shoot,
go.
uh,
So
we'll just shoot with one light from an
okay.
angle, which is really cool if you're younger because you want all those shadows in the jawline. The more shadows in the jawline makes you look more serious. I think we see that, for example, here, like the drama that you see here,
Yeah.
over here versus this one where it's just like solid all the way around.
Right.
There's more drama in her picture,
Yeah, I saw that too.
but she's also want to be on the Museum of Fine Arts. She's on the board of the Museum of Fine Arts. So at the end, we did a lot of pictures here like this, where it's just even light across the face. But then it's like we want you to have something that would fit in the museum, right? So we did Rembrandt
That
lighting.
makes sense.
Yeah. So with people who want to look more serious or older, we give them more shadows. With people who want to look younger, we give them less shadows. And then makeup also helps because makeup also the foundation hides a lot of the shadowing and makes it a bit brighter. And when it's brighter, that also helps as well.
So somebody could actually work with a photographer and say, I want to look a little younger or look a little older based on I'm going after this, that, or the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's possible with photography, with a headshot.
Yeah. Because you want to look like you at your best, is what I always say.
Sure.
So if you had a lot of money for makeup and then lighting, like this is you, who you are at your best. And then we go from there, as opposed to let's just take a picture just as is. Everybody has the same lighting, and that it's not flattering necessarily.
What would you tell folks, Kevin, as far as, when they're I mean, you're in Boston, maybe not everybody will be able to work with you, but you can connect them to people nationwide, which is awesome. Or maybe it sounds like even worldwide, which is fantastic. What are some of the key tips that you would have for people that they want to have a great headshot? And what are the key things that you would say are top of mind when they're doing that, working with whatever photographer that they choose?
If they're working with another photographer, they should have consistent work. I think that's one of the most important things. So you look at the website. If the work is consistently the way that you like, then definitely choose that photographer. If it's, I don't want to like downplay other photographers, but sometimes when we're marketing, you want to make sure your work is something that you can replicate, and then people know exactly what they're getting.
Nice.
And so some photographers love the diversity, which I think is important, but there's a certain level of you can have the diverse pictures, but then have it so that it's in sections, and so it's much more intentional. If you're looking for a photographer, making sure that they have that that they can replicate is important. Otherwise, it'll seem like it may not be, but it seems like it's just random lighting that just so happened to get at that moment, or they might have had a really attractive sitter. And of course, we want to choose our best 1% when we market, but also the diversity of different types of people. But then also, I think talk to the person and let them know you're concerned.
You mentioned that earlier. Yep.
And if they can, yeah, we can totally do that, then it's fine. And they could ease your mind through it. I think that's also important. If you want to do it by yourself, I would say put your phone, stick your phone up against the window,
Yeah.
Um,
Natural lighting is your friend.
Natural lighting is, and the thing is a technical term, but it's the inverse square law. But essentially, what it means is the further back you are, the less light you have. And the closer to the light you are, then the more light you have. And the bigger the light source, the softer the light, because it kind of wraps around and fills in all the creases. So if you're big window, you can do one of those sticky backs for the cell phone. Put up against the window, and then you can do the self timer, where you just
that's cool.
You can set on timer. You can set on the back camera of the phone because that's a better quality phone. And this experiment, spend 20 minutes going back, standing, and then chin forward. Otherwise, we look like this.
Right. Yeah, that's not so attractive.
And then have a friend there to make you smile. I think that's the other thing. And
that's smart. That's actually really smart. Have a friend there and make you smile. That's awesome.
Sometimes you want them to tickle you a little bit, and then
you know, it's funny. So picking a photographer can be similar to actually picking an artist for a tattoo. So I don't know if you have any tattoos, but I have a few, and I'm finding a new guy in the place where I live now. And I went in and I looked at the portfolio of work in that shop, and I was drawn to a specific tattoo artist because I just liked the images that he was able to portray. And I'm like, that's the guy. Because I kept going through all of his work. So it sounds like there's similarities there. Would you agree with that, Kevin, or disagree?
I would definitely agree. And if that tattoo artist is really good, if you want a style that's not his or her own, or their own, that artist will say, I don't do that, but I can recommend you somebody. Yeah,
they do. Right. And do you do that same thing? Do you say that I don't necessarily do that work, but here's somebody that could do that work?
Absolutely. There's when I do branding work, sometimes I have this, I do a discovery call with them. And sometimes they're like, oh, that's great. Let me recommend you somebody that can. So one person wanted to do a lot of personal branding, and I don't do personal branding. I like more of the corporate stuff. And so after the meeting, I was like, let me give you names of 2 or 3 people, and I emailed it to them, and it's like, these are people that you might want to work with, because it's a lot of money, but I won't be able to do it justice, because there's a lot of family pictures and pictures of them on a day-to-day, and that's not something I want him to capture his family beautifully, and there's other people that can do that. Just like if you have tattoo artists, if they love doing an anime style, which is maybe my next one.
Nice.
But if they only do traditional styles, like back in the 80s, which are really beautiful too, if they can't do it, then they'll be like, no, here's somebody else.
Yeah, I love that. Foy said, I find in previous headshots that I've had done, the ones that I don't get touched up get better feedback because they reflect me, the real me. I walk in and there are no surprises. Any thoughts on that?
Retouching is it's a touchy topic.
It's a touchy subject. I love that.
Some people, different types of headshots have portraits have different expectations. So if you choose a person who does a lot of, let's say, magazines, they're going to retouch you up to the point where you can be put on a cover of a magazine, but they take away a lot of the different. They tend to overdo it because it's meant to be glamorous.
And then you lose the nuances of emotion that way, potentially. Okay.
Because they take away a lot of the wrinkles, and the wrinkles is where, like the crow's feet, is where the connection really is. That's why for Botox, it's hard to see what their emotions are.
That's a good point.
And then if you have people who's on the other end that does documentary style, and then you take pictures, they don't do almost any retouching at all, maybe just color correction. So there's that wide breadth of types of photography.
And degrees in between, right? Yeah.
So with my photography, depending on how much a person wants me to retouch, which I'll also take that into consideration, I try to do what's called natural retouching, which all it is basically we have a line across their neck. Everybody does. And I'll minimize that. I'll take that away.
Okay.
If we have For example, I'm tanning unevenly now, just a little bit.
Okay.
We'll even up
Okay.
the tan, right?
Gotcha.
So things that look natural in real life as we're watching people, that's what a headshot specialist will do. I took away a person's scar once by accident because I was just in the zone and I did it. And when I sent it to her, she's like, "You took away my scar. Could I have that back?"
And you're like, oh, you're like, oops.
Oh, that's right. So I pulled it. So there's a collaboration that you should have with your photographer who's able to bring things back. Certain moles, I think one woman had a mole right here. And so I'll always ask her, is there anything that you want me to pay attention to?
Right.
And then this was Friday, I believe. She's like, oh, keep that. I'm like, got it.
Like, awesome. Right. She likes it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
This was awesome, Kevin. I think folks that are watching now have gotten a ton of value from this, or that will watch later. Also, I mean, these are fantastic tips to pay attention to when you're looking for a headshot or finding a photographer. Plus, I mean, your work. Do you do any work? Is it possible to do it online, or is that like, are there tools out there to do that now?
There are some photographers who, during the pandemic, have perfected online headshots.
Okay.
It does require some work from the person who is the client. Like, you want a large window, you need to get a tripod,
right?
Either through FaceTime or through Zoom. You probably want to have a better camera. In that case, or their phone. So they can do it really well because they have really good connections of drawing out the emotions. Right. I have not focused on that. I found it too difficult, but it doesn't mean it's impossible.
Okay. Gotcha. I was just curious. Anything else you would like folks to know before we wrap up today?
Yeah, definitely reach out to me for getting a professional headshot from other people. They range in price, but a lot of them, the people that I know, they really care about their craft, and they really, really want to understand the purpose of getting a headshot rather than just a picture.
Yeah.
Reach out for me for that, and I'll be able to connect you with some wonderful people all across the United States, in the world, Europe, Asia, South America, and everything like that. So
I love that, Kevin. And you can see in your work that I mean, just the emotion. So thank you for having this conversation. Thank you for sharing all this fantastic information. And I will be seeing you online.
Thank you, Michelle, for this. I love it. I love talking about this. It's so much fun.
I know. I mean, it comes across, and it's fantastic. I love that, Kevin. Thank you so much, and you have a great day.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Bye.